Hey, what's happening, y'all? Just Rico coming with a quick report. Just came out with the draft pronunciation guide, but I just saw, according to John Keim, that Washington is very much interested in a Micah Parsons. So, in this quick video, I just want to dive into how severe our linebacker need is. How good can Micah Parsons actually end up being? Why it's realistic that he may slide to 19, and why we may even go trade up to get him. Let's get it. Alright, so for many of y'all who do not know who Micah Parsons is, he's one of those elite linebacker prospects entering this draft. He opted out of last season, but as said by Rivera and Martin Mayhew in that press conference they had, I believe that was yesterday, they said that they're not gonna take guys off of their draft big board just because they opted out. He said something to the extent of he assumes that the year that they opted out, they continued to get better. They worked out, they worked on certain techniques and things like that. They're still in top physical shape. And you can argue guys that took a year off, I mean, they may be a little bit behind in development, but they have an extra year in durability, potentially. But that's a whole nother debate that we can discuss later on when we get deep into the draft. We're only 12 days away, y'all. But back to Micah Parsons. He is an elite linebacker prospect from Penn State. He's been, to a lot of analysts, maybe even most of them, he's in that same category of like almost generational like talent, like a Miles Jack when he was coming out, Jalen Smith before he got hurt, Reuben Foster before the injuries and the drama. Micah Parsons is like up there with those guys. Now, Jamin Davis came out of nowhere from Kentucky, and you can argue he may be the most athletic linebacker in this draft, which, you know, by default kind of gives him the highest ceiling. Micah Parsons, I feel like, is right below him in athleticism, but he just gives you so much of a higher floor in so many different ways that Micah Parsons is the clear-cut best linebacker prospect in this draft. But he may realistically fall to 19. Highly doubt it. I wouldn't put any money on it, but there is an opportunity. It's not impossible, and it's because of off the field character issues, character concerns type of thing. And it's not like a Darius Geis with the immaturity that ended up leading to domestic violence and sexual assault and things like that. They say it's an accumulation of multiple incidents that have led to this character concern. They said that he had a few off the field issues since high school. He even had to transfer to another school because he was accused of inciting a riot at his school. A riot, that's pretty crazy. He's also had a history of causing controversy on social media. There was also an incident at Penn State on campus in 2018 where Micah Parsons poured water on Isaiah Humphries at the academic center of the football practice facility, which led to a physical altercation. So is he one of those guys that just plays too much? Is he one of them? According to documents filed by Humphries, Humphries, I gotta look at you a little different. The fight between him and Parsons saw both players throw punches and attempt to choke each other. None of these things are domestic violence. None of these are sexual assault. None of these are weed or alcohol or anything. But he just may be one of those guys that plays too much, and this can go either way for Ron Rivera. Does Ron Rivera see an elite talent that can literally, and I'm gonna dive into why we need linebackers so bad a little later. Is he gonna look at a Micah Parsons like this is the guy that's gonna take our defense and make it literally potentially the best defense in the NFL? And you can just fix the character issues. We have a culture set up with so many guys, so many leaders top to bottom, not even just coaching staff and front office, but Terry McLaurin, Chase Young, Jonathan Allen, and many other leaders that are on the roster, not just in the coaching staff and front office. We have enough of a culture to where you can bring in a guy like a Micah Parsons and let's get with the program and get out. And I could see somebody with his elite talent. And there hasn't been any questions on whether or not he wants to be great. There's no he's lazy or things like that, like he's not going to give it his all. So I could see somebody like him come into this culture and shaping up for the better. I mean, we haven't heard anything about Sadiq Charles since he's been here. And the main reason that he slid to where he slid in the draft, even though he was arguably a top 5 offensive tackle prospect in last year's draft is literally because of character concerns. And he came here, we haven't heard a single character concern. We haven't heard anything about weed or anything. No foolishness, no silliness. So you can see on one side, Ron Rivera may look at Micah Parsons like we have the culture set up. We can bring a guy in like that and he'll just follow the lead of all of the other upstanding players, coaches, and front office members and just fall right in line. Or he could look at Micah Parsons as a big red flag and not even have him on his draft big board at all. But according to the report that John Keim came up with, the fact that we're interested in him means that it's more than likely option A, where they're looking at Micah Parsons. His talent is too elite to pass up. And if he makes it to 19, they may just pull the trigger. And John Keim also reported days ago that we may be willing to move up in the draft for a linebacker or tackle, along with quarterback, of course. But that's really interesting. And the fact that there's a possibility that they may look at Micah Parsons falling down the draft and maybe Trey Lance and Justin Fields are out of reach or they've already been taken and things like that. And maybe Micah Parsons is there at like 13 or 14. Maybe we trade from 19 up there to get him. That's a possibility, according to John Keim. And John Keim normally doesn't report things unless there's like a real insider voice, a trustworthy source involved. So I can believe the fact that Ron Rivera is interested. Ron Rivera, Martin Mayhew, Marty Herney, Chris Poley, and a combination of those guys are very interested in a Micah Parsons. Again, his talent is immense. That takes me to the next part of this video. Our biggest need is linebacker right now. I say future quarterback. That's why I want to trade up for one. Future franchise quarterback. But that doesn't necessarily affect 2021 as far as play on the field directly. So excluding future quarterback, our immediate needs for what we need to win games in 2021 are clearly linebacker number one, like easily. And then tight end number two, because it would be nice to get a guy alongside Logan Thomas who we know can contribute early while Sammis Reyes is working on becoming a good tight end. Because even as much as we love Logan Thomas, he transitioned from quarterback to tight end, and we didn't really start liking him until like midway through the season, towards the latter part of the season. Sammis Reyes is coming from basketball. He didn't even play football at all. So he may even take more time to develop, and we can't wait 14 weeks for Sammis Reyes to become a reliable tight end too, or maybe even be great enough to take Logan Thomas' spot as tight end one and Logan Thomas gets demoted to tight end two, which would be a dream case scenario for us. But either way, even if he does do it, and the odds are stacked against him to do it at all, but even if he does, I don't see it being early into the season. So we have a big need at linebacker, a big need at tight end. Offensive line depth would help. I mean, if you can get a guy that's better than Wes Schweitzer at guard or better than Cornelius Lucas at tackle, and then Cornelius Lucas and or Wes Schweitzer are backup offensive linemen, that's literally some of the best depth in the NFL. You can argue Cornelius Lucas will be the best swing tackle in the NFL, and he's a solid starter at left tackle. So I can see why they may be intrigued by getting some offensive line talent in here that can maybe surpass the ceiling of a Cornelius Lucas or a Wes Schweitzer. I mean, they said they believe in Sadiq Charles to come back fully healthy and compete at starting at either of those positions, but we'll see. And then it would also be nice to get another shutdown corner, maybe not as good as William Jackson yet, but somebody with the potential to, because I prefer Kendall Fuller in the slot. So to have William Jackson locking up every opponent's number one receiver and draft a guy that could potentially lock up the number twos every game could make our secondary elite. I feel like our secondary is already really good, and we still need to find a free safety, which takes me to my last need, free safety. But out of all of those needs, linebacker is easily the most pressing need. Now, I've also been the devil's advocate for the fact that when in doubt, we had the third best defense in the NFL, second against the pass, with the linebackers that we currently have. I mean, you're only taking away Kevin Pierre-Louis, but even then, he was not on the field much at all. We ran nickel 60% of the time, and of course, like, we ran nickel a lot of the time just out of necessity because we didn't have three great linebackers out there, so we chose to only throw two out there at a time and just preferred to go with a fifth DB. And that did hurt us against the run at times. But at the end of the day, we still had the number 3 overall defense statistically, even with us running nickel and Cole Holcomb and John Bostic being the 2 starting linebackers last season, getting the majority of snaps. So if we had to do the same thing again, I feel like our defense is still better than last year, going from Ronald Darby and Kevin Pierre-Louis to William Jackson. I still feel like our defense is even better than last year just off of that, especially with Matt Ioannidis coming back. But an elite linebacker like a Micah Parsons literally makes our defense the best in the NFL, period. there's no arguments to be had. I mean, you could debate, you could say here and there, Tampa Bay, up and down and things like that. Nah. Once we have an elite linebacker, once Ron Rivera is able to get his Luke Kuechly type of guy, which is what we were hoping Reuben Foster could be for us, it's over with on the defensive side. Now, granted, we still wouldn't have our future quarterback, because if you're getting Micah Parsons, you're getting him in the first round, which means we don't trade up for a quarterback. But hey, that will be just 2022 Washington football's problem, not 2021. And you never know. I mean, there's a lot of speculation that we could be an attractive destination for an Aaron Rodgers next offseason. But again, that's a whole nother video in itself. But I just wanted to break down top to bottom why Micah Parsons should be the pick and why he very well could possibly be the pick, and the fact that we may even trade up for him. And I like how Michael Renner at Pro Football Focus came out with an article and basically talked about which linebacker is best at specific things, and Micah Parsons showed up more than once. He said the best at taking on blocks, Micah Parsons, which I can believe. I agree there. Best blitzer, Micah Parsons. I agree there as well. Most versatile in coverage, you have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame, and I can see that. If you want to talk about best overall coverage, I'm going to have to throw Jabril Cox in there. I'm going to throw Micah Parsons in there, but Micah Parsons is fairly raw. Definitely Jamin Davis, and also, of course, JOK. It depends on what you're looking for in your coverage traits. I mean, because some of these guys are already bona fide great coverage guys like a Jabril Cox, but Micah Parsons and Jamin Davis have the highest potential in coverage, in my opinion. You can also throw Zaven Collins in there as well. They said best coverage instincts goes to Jabril Cox, and Jabril Cox used to be a quarterback, so it shows up in how dominant and how advanced his instincts are in coverage. He looks like a quarterback out there playing linebacker. Best run game instincts goes to Nick Bolton. Can't argue against that, really. Best tackler, our guy again, Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is best at 3 things according to Michael here. And again, you can even throw Micah Parsons in there for coverage as far as potential goes. Best athlete, he says Jamin Davis at Kentucky. And again, you can't really argue against that, like I said that in the beginning of the video. But Micah Parsons is right there with him. Now, granted, Jamin Davis ran a 4.48 40 time with a 1.53-10 split with a 42-inch vert and an 11-foot broad jump and 21 bench reps. Like, come on now. With 33-inch arms, like, Jamin Davis is just a freak, but Micah Parsons is right there with him, right below him. He's not there, but he's right below him. So just because Jamin Davis is the best athlete doesn't mean it's Jamin Davis gap everybody else. It's Jamin Davis 1A, Micah Parsons I would say is like 1B, and then everybody else is 3 and down as far as athletes. But again, Jamin Davis is far more raw than a Micah Parsons. And Micah Parsons is raw at certain areas, but we've seen Micah Parsons play at a very high level in 2019. Again, he opted out in 2020 season. But again, Ron Rivera and Martin Mayhew and the front office as a collective have said that they don't really care about guys opting out. They're not going to necessarily deduct points from their grading scale just because somebody opted out. If they look like the best linebacker in the draft in 2019, they're assuming he still looks like that going into this 2020 draft. If anything, got even better and worked on some technique things, hopefully matured some and things like that. So, hey man, that's the end of this video. I just wanted to discuss this whole Micah Parsons possibility. Again, I feel like you're gonna have to trade up for him, but I feel like a trade up is fairly realistic because trading up from 19 to 14 doesn't cost you much. Again, I'm team trade up for Trey Lance. Justin Fields is my 1B, but Micah Parsons is easily my 3rd option. I love Kyle Pitts as well, but I don't think it's any way possible he's gonna slide far enough for him to be in trade up range. I feel like teams that are willing to trade back are the same teams that want a Kyle Pitts. The teams that we assume are willing to trade back because they don't want quarterback may just put their feet in the ground, stand firm, and take a Kyle Pitts. So I think it's almost impossible for him to slide within range for us to trade up for. But Micah Parsons, again, because of the character concerns, and some teams may take players off of their big board who didn't play last year, who opted out. We're not one of those teams, so Micah Parsons falling, if we don't care about his character concerns that much, we don't care about the fact that he opted out, we may be one of very few teams who actually are even interested in possibly getting him. We may be one of the very few teams who even has him on our big board. Darius Geis was assumed to be the second best running back in that Saquon Barkley class. Some people even liked him more than Saquon Barkley because they felt like he had a higher floor. And he slid all the way to the second round because of character concerns. And he didn't even have as colored of a documented history as Micah Parsons. I feel like Micah Parsons' history isn't as dramatic, but it's more events. Now, granted, we didn't know all of the details of Darius Geis's past with the sexual assaults and domestic violences and things like that. But still, I mean, Darius Geis made it to the second round. Micah Parsons could honestly make it to the 19th pick. And if we love him enough, again, it's the thinking that you go get your guy. Same thing with quarterbacks. Same thing goes with an elite. You can argue generational talent like a Micah Parsons. Even if you do feel like he may make it to the 19th pick or even further than that, if you love him that much, once he reaches a range that you're comfortable enough to go get him, you go get him. If you're willing to trade up to number 12 to go get him, even if you feel like he may make it to 19, you go take him at 12 because you love him that much. I'm not sure if they love him to that capacity, but we'll see. Only time will tell. Again, please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about this whole Micah Parsons situation. Please like this video if you liked it. If you learned anything, please subscribe if you haven't. Hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification every time I release an informative and opinionated video like this one. Coming out with 2 more mock drafts. Make sure you go check out my draft pronunciation guide I just came out with like 30 minutes ago. If that, I think it was only like 20 minutes ago, really. As now that I'm recording this, before I edit it and everything. Also, stay tuned for 2 more mock drafts. Stay tuned for more film sessions, more live streams, and I'm gonna keep telling y'all all the way up until the draft, every video, every live stream, I'm live streaming rounds 1 through 5 of the draft, so make sure you pull up and watch it with me. I believe Shay will be there for most, if not all, of the rounds, or at the very least, day 1, round 1. And even though I'm a burgundy and gold fan, again, being a general manager is my favorite part of football. I enjoy that more than actual football on Sundays, team building, recruitment, film study, player development, all of that type of stuff. So I will be analyzing every pick and trying to guess every pick. It won't just be a burgundy and gold centered live stream. Now, granted, since I am a burgundy and gold fan and most of us in the live stream will be burgundy and gold fans, of course I'm gonna answer any questions. I'm gonna do a lot of burgundy and gold predictions and reviews and things like that, but I will be analyzing every pick and being a true analyst, you know, suggesting which team should get which players, and when a team picks a player, was that a good pick, was it a bad pick, why not, things like that. So make sure y'all pull up for that. And as always, man, I really appreciate all of the support, man. Everybody that pulls up to every video, every live stream, leaves a like, encourages others to like the videos and live streams. Of course, shouts out to everybody that shares the channel, man, and trying to recruit more people to join the Street Scores family. Really appreciate that. Of course, I gotta shout out everybody that donates to the channel, man. Y'all are a huge help, man. Equipment upgrades and everything, man. Y'all are huge. And shouts out to all of my sponsors. Y'all are the big time contributors to this channel, man. Shouts out to all of the sponsors, especially the Pro Bowl sponsors whose names you scrolling on the screen right now, man. Really appreciate all y'all for real, man. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.